Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, this is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories making headlines.
They have since went to the mortuary where they all identified their loved ones.
Police Commissioner has confirmed that the 3 of the 5 bodies retrieved from the Hanopsa River are those of the constables who went missing last week.
Easter 2025 had the lowest number of crashes and fatalities we have seen in the last 3 years.
The Department of Transport says motorists are turning the tide on road crashes in the country. And the country's proposed revised budget will be tabled to Parliament at a date yet to be announced, but political parties are disagreeing on the way forward. Good evening and a warm welcome to Prime News on 3. An absolute pleasure it is to be in your company this evening. I am Paulette Nell. Let's start first with this leading story. Police Commissioner General Fanima Semola has confirmed that the 3 of the 5 bodies retrieved from the Hanopsa River in Centurion are those of the constables who went missing last week Wednesday. Family members of the deceased have identified them at the Tshwane mortuary. The 3 police officers were en route to Bloemfontein to Polokwane, where they were posted under Operation Vala Umkoti.
We found 2 bodies. And then, because it was dark, we had to abandon the search and proceed today. And this morning, we found the 3rd body, which was discovered, which believed to be that of Constable Linda. We further found a decomposed body, which we are still trying to identify. We don't know who this person is. And later this afternoon, we certainly found the 5th body, which was confirmed to be that of Constable Base. The families, I briefed them earlier, but when I briefed them, by that time we have yet found Constable Base, but they have since went to the mortuary where they all identified their loved ones. The search is still continuing as we have not yet found the vehicle.
The Department of Transport says motorists are turning the tide on road crashes in the country. The positive feedback follows the lowest number of crashes and road fatalities recorded in 3 years.
The Easter Road Safety Awareness Campaign was launched on the 20th of March. With the Easter holidays concluded, feedback on how motorists behaved on the country's roads.
Easter 2025 had the lowest number of crashes and fatalities we have seen in the last 3 years. Crashes were reduced from 209 in 2024 to 141 in 2025.
Despite the successes to reduce the carnage on the country's roads, human error remains problematic, accounting for over 80% of all road accidents. Speeding, fatigue and drinking and driving top of the list. Some of the stakeholders satisfied with the results of the collaborative efforts.
We wish to remind South Africans to continue travelling light, whilst we will continue to ferry them in vehicles that are roadworthy, where safety belts will always be worn.
The issue of road safety in South Africa, it's not just a once-off, but it's something that we ought to do 365 days.
Another big factor that contributes to road fatalities is pedestrians, especially children.
This shocking reality indicates that our message to pedestrians is not reaching home. A large percentage of pedestrians who are killed on the roads are children walking home from school.
The Easter Road Safety campaigns will end on the 4th of May. Patricia Fasah, SABC News in Pretoria.
The country's proposed revised budget will be tabled to Parliament at a date yet to be announced, but political parties are not seeing eye to eye on the way forward. EFF leaders have vowed to oppose any budget cuts to social security or privatization of state-owned entities as austerity measures. The ANC has also vowed to protect the poor, but government expenditures must be reduced, which will see a battle between the two biggest parties in the government of national unity.
The economic freedom fighters are seemingly going to play a critical role in the adoption of the new budget and fiscal framework. GNU partners are not on the same page regarding the austerity measures that government must implement to reduce expenditure. The EFF has sent its demands to the ANC and the Minister of Finance, but in the main, it wants corporate tax to be increased.
Negotiations going forward with anyone. We are going to a committee, and then the law must be followed to the letter. So there is no one who's going to be seeking any favor from anyone. We outlined what we want in the budget.
ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has called for cool heads and for parties to negotiate in good faith in the coming days.
ANC with political parties that came to the fore who did not have conditions. Okay, we agree. Let VAT go. Now we've got new sources of revenue, and that is how it happened. So lenye to go to the courts wouldn't settle this.
Services will play a critical role to increase revenue to try and fill the expected budget shortfall of over 75 billion rands over the medium term, but the revenue collector needs to be capacitated. Samkele Masego, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, the National Treasury says it is working on various options informed by the developments regarding the proposed VAT increase. Last week, government announced that the proposed 0.5% points increase would be revised following contestation amongst political parties.
The National Treasury says it aims to conclude all the processes as quickly as possible so that the revised bills can be presented to Parliament for further processing in line with the legislated timelines. Chief Economist at Econometrics, Dr. Azar Jamin, says other sources of tax revenue that the National Treasury could consider include increasing other taxes or finding other ways for SARS to increase revenue, or else borrow more money to plug the revenue gap.
If the gap is as what is perceived at 75 billion rand over the next 3 years, which is 25 billion rand per year, the first is to try and increase taxes somewhere else, whether it's, for example, increasing the fuel levy once again.
Jamin, however, says if government does go down the increased borrowing route, which is unlikely, this would push up public debt and debt servicing costs and may not be looked upon favorably by rating agencies.
If the decision was made to try and borrow the additional money, this would not be favorably received by ratings agencies. The rand could depreciate as a consequence.
Jamin says another option could be to cut back on expenditure. Gloria Safakomusi, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Welcome back. Now on to this. The Judicial Conduct Tribunal probing Judge Mushtaq Parker's fitness to hold office has been urged to find a gross misconduct finding against the judge. This as the body heard closing arguments from the evidence leader and the complaints in the matter. Parker is facing allegations of 1, lying under oath, and 2, lying by omission in relation to 2 complaints.
Complainants and the evidence leader in the probe to establish Judge Mushtaq Parker's fitness to hold judicial office sang one tune in their call for a gross misconduct finding against the judge. Evidence leader Dr. Chris Nzengu argued that Parker, in his conduct, which he did not dispute, rendered himself guilty of gross misconduct.
Throughout this saga, the respondent had the opportunity to apologize for what had happened, particularly in relation to the tension which took place in the Western Cape Division, the consequences of his conduct. We haven't had that, and it is, with submission, regrettable that nothing of that sort, an apology, has not been forthcoming at all from the respondent.
Complaint filed by the 10 judges of the Western Cape Division of the High Court relates to Parker deposing to an affidavit which stated that he was physically assaulted, allegedly by the then judge president, Dr. John Hlophe, who has since been impeached.
If members of the public believe that judges who sit and adjudicate on their cases may be dishonest, it cuts right to the heart of the credibility of the judiciary.
The outcome will be communicated to the Judicial Service Commission. If Parker is found guilty of gross misconduct, he faces impeachment. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The Department of Correctional Services has confirmed the suspension of a high-ranking official in Kimberley, Northern Cape. The senior official is accused of raping a female subordinate.
A Kimberley non-governmental organization has urged police to thoroughly investigate the rape allegations against a high-ranking official in Kimberley. News of the alleged incident came to light on social media this past weekend.
We plead to our government just really to intervene, and so that this process can be completed, so that this woman can find healing, because we are really tired.
The Department of Correctional Services has confirmed that it has suspended a senior official, but says it cannot comment any further as the rape allegation is under investigation.
The Kimberley Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit are investigating an alleged rape case. The investigation has been finalized and the docket has been sent to the senior public prosecutor for a decision.
Police say the senior official has not been arrested yet. Tabiso Khadebe, SABC News, Kimberley.
The City of Cape Town Fire and Rescue Service is continuously optimistic of largely containing the fire in the Table Mountain National Park within 24 hours. Temperatures are dropped overnight with mist and drizzle in the affected areas.
On Monday, helicopters were in the air for most of the day trying to get a grip on the blaze. At its peak, more than 200 firefighters from various entities were on the scene. By Tuesday, cooler and calmer weather conditions aided firefighting efforts.
The two fire lines that was creeping up to Chapman's Peak, and due to the mist and obviously the rain that was falling, we couldn't see anything. But we came down Okaapseweg again to Kai, where the initial fire actually started. There is still a massive area which is being attended to with a lot of flare-ups. And I could see there's several ground crews that's actively firefighting in that area.
As a precaution, around 200 people were evacuated from their homes. No properties are currently in danger. Sandpark says a preliminary investigation points to possible arson.
The ablutions at the Silver Mine Dam have been destroyed, as well as a lot of the boardwalks in the areas and signage. So there will be a lot of work that needs to be done, putting back the signs and the boardwalks to make the hiking trails there and the facility safe again for visitors.
The City of Cape Town says a suspect was apprehended after law enforcement officers noticed a man carrying a can, and shortly after a fire could be seen. The incident took place just outside the current fire zone. Officers put the fire out and arrested the man, who also had mandrax in his possession. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.
Thank you for staying with us. We now continue with this. A retired outpatient clerk has given the Pietermaritzburg High Court a general description of Chief Albert Lutuli's condition when he arrived in hospital. Mohammed Manju worked at the Stanger Hospital when Lutuli was injured. Today, he told the reopened inquest into Lutuli's death that he was one of the first people to see Lutuli in hospital.
Old Mohammed Manju became emotional as he recounted the events on the day Lutuli died. Manju testified that he had in fact received a call for an ambulance from the Groudville station master, but didn't know who the victim was then. It was only when Lutuli was being wheeled into the hospital that he recognized him. He had spent time with Lutuli prior to the incident.
He was in I'm behind this counter and he was there on the trolley. and I would be looking over at him, and that's where it was. So there was no blood on the trolley itself, and there was no injuries on his face. As far as the rest of the body, I wouldn't know, but if there was bleeding, then it would have shown on the trolley.
Manju disputed particulars in the original inquest report that a Peter Papaya was the ambulance driver. He told the court that that information was incorrect and that it was in fact a Mr. Zwane. Manju further testified that he saw no bruises nor bleeding on Lutuli's face. There was also no blood on his clothes. This corroborates earlier testimony from another witness that Lutuli only had a deep gash to the crown of his head. Manju also told the court of a lengthy time gap between Lutuli's arrival at the hospital and his death. Manju broke down when he told the court that he had in fact told hospital staff that the patient was Lutuli. He will continue with his testimony on Wednesday. I am Mhlongo, SABC News, Pietermaritzburg.
Time now to have a look at the latest weather forecast.
Thank you very much and a very warm welcome to the weather desk. Time for us to look at those conditions over the country. Now, we do have a cold front that's brushing over the southern parts of the Western Cape, dropping temperatures over that interior and also causing a 30% chance of showers and rain stretching into that interior of the Northern Cape. We're still expecting an effect of the trough that is still causing some scatter showers and thunder showers over Richards Bay, stretching into that escarpment of Mpumalanga. Isolated has moved into Limpopo for tonight. Moving on to tomorrow, we start to see the effect of a trough that will be sitting over that interior of the country, causing up to 80% chance of showers and thunder showers over George and surrounding areas, becoming scattered over the southern parts of the Northern Cape and isolated over Appleton all the way into Taung over the northwest. Moving towards Mpumalanga and also KwaZulu-Natal, also still expecting some rainy conditions over that interior of KwaZulu-Natal, still expecting up to 60% chance of showers and thunder showers for tomorrow. Overnight temperatures, it is going to be a relatively cool night over most of the country. We have 11 over Johannesburg, 18 as we move into Appleton and also Cape Town, dropping down to 13. Also expecting some disturbed rainfall over Richards Bay and surrounding areas. This is where we had that 60% chance of showers and thunder showers for tonight. For tomorrow, also still expecting some disturbed rainfall which can lead to flooding over Richards Bay and surrounding areas. So please, let's take note of that. Moving towards the central parts of the country, it is going to be a cool day for tomorrow, with Bethlehem expecting a high of 22, 23. Will be a maximum over Pretoria. Moving towards that interior of the Northern Cape and Western Cape, remember we have those scatter showers becoming widespread over parts over George and surrounding areas for tomorrow. We also have possibilities of flooding over those areas. 18 will be a maximum as we move towards the mother city. Thursday, still expecting isolated showers over most of that interior of Gauteng, stretching all the way into KwaZulu-Natal. That's all the weather I have for you. Stay tuned.
Well, that concludes our time together this evening. Much gratitude for joining us. For now, it's good night and God bless.